We kind of have a thing here where the three of us, for very specific reasons, do not talk a lot of wrestling. We never have. It was never a point of the show. It was kind of the point of the show was to not talk about wrestling. The Drew Yarsifer is there. Marquise is there. My buddy Marquise Johns. Anyway, there have been occasions though where we've broke with this, and tonight's going to be one of them. We have a bunch of significant movies to talk about in the free tonight, and we're going to get to three incredible trailers, very different films that we're all excited about. But again, consider going to patreon.com/Spitball Media, $5. You can even get it on this upcoming Q&A we got at the end of the month. But here's the deal. We decided offline that we were going to talk about the CM Punk video because this whole circumstance is so batshit crazy, and it's just gotten so significantly worse that it bears talking about, quite frankly. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on it, but we are going to talk about it, and then we're going to get to our movie stuff. First and foremost, I want to go to Shah because Shah's the least connected to wrestling, whereas we go back years ago, he was the most connected to wrestling and worked in the industry, worked with performers, worked with worked with a company that was, getting off the ground. So, he's done a lot of stuff in the industry that Bisho and I have never done. Okay. So Shah, I just want to back this up a little bit. No CM Punk interaction ever in your life, correct? I just want to make sure for the purpose of
No,
conversation.
I mean, I was in the same building as him once, but I mean, I've never talked to the guy. I don't know anything about CM Punk now.
Okay, what about people you've worked with? And your sort of, before we get into this, what was your opinion of Punk generally before the controversies in the last 18 months?
I've always been a fan of Punk. I've always liked him. I felt like, if I hung out with him, I'd probably get along with him because I'm pretty grumpy myself. Like, if I was a wrestler, I'd probably very much be like him. Like, I wouldn't like to be around people, and I just wouldn't like the fans. Like, I can understand where he's coming from with that.
Yeah.
However, I do think that he's gotten an ego, but I mean, at the same time, I can't really blame the guy because, I mean, if you're in his position, how do you not have an ego? You have to have an ego to get to that position. So, I don't know. A lot of stuff that he does, I don't want to say makes sense to me, but I can forgive it because I can put myself in his position. I'd be like, yeah, I'd probably be a piece of shit too. I mean, I can't lie. Like, I mean,
Okay.
Imagine if you had millions of dollars and you were fucking wrestling for Ian Rotten and you made it to the WWE and became the biggest star. And like, I mean, come on, man. Your ego has to go through the fucking roof. It's natural. We're humans,
Yeah, for sure. Bish O'Brien, prior to 18 months ago, I don't recall you and I ever really talking about Punk that much. What was your opinion of Punk prior to AEW?
Prior to AEW, I was a fan of his from WWE. I think I'm a huge fan of his, but I also understand that he does come off as like a pretentious, very showy, very everyone look at me, huddle around me. I need to be the guy kind of person. That said, I'm a huge fan of his work. I never thought he was, Ric Flair in the ring, but he didn't need to be because he could talk people into the building. And that was what I liked about him at a time when you had Seth Rollins doing the, two-step around the ring, with their corny, pre-arranged matches and stuff like that. He was a guy who was just talking. He was a throwback to the old days, stuff that I liked. So I was a big fan of his when he left. I was a huge fan of what he said about WWE because I think all of us thought those things as fans, that this is a shit that happens. They're petty. They're spiteful. I do recognize that he has a tendency to diminish his role in anything. Like even with the Errol Hawani interview he did, he's talking about all the shit that happened in AEW, and every time it comes to him, he's like, I was just, it's like, oh, come on, man. Yeah. So that's not lost to me. So anyone who wants to say that we're Punk fans and we're going to defend him, whatever, I will admit 1000% that he seems like he can be a dick and has to have attention, a little bit of a drama queen, and probably diminishes his role in things. But it doesn't mean he's not good. It doesn't mean he wasn't right in this situation. And I'm sure we'll get to that.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's very different. I've never been able to kind of be objective because he's literally from my scene. Like he is a person from my scene. He is a fan of not only hardcore music, but New York hardcore music. He's a Chicago guy. I've been on a stage with him when he was the WWE champ when I was not watching wrestling, and I was extremely drunk. And my youngest brother, Mark, who you guys, probably the only one you guys don't know, said, wow, I just met WWE champ. And we were on stage at a big festival, hardcore festival in New York. And he goes, hey, he's right there. And he just looked like everybody else. And I've said this before. So it's difficult for me. He's a hardcore guy. He likes comic books. I mean, and he likes wrestling and horror movies. okay, and he's a dick. I mean, he's not a cool guy. He's a very jaded, middle-aged, straight-edge guy. So I get it, but I wasn't the biggest fan, but I respected that he's probably in my world the most famous person ever. Like he's the most famous hardcore guy in the world in my very small universe. So that's how I perceive him. He's wearing my friend's shirts. It's Clobbering Time is a derivative of one of my closest friends' bands, from Sick of It All. Like, just that's his and he's wearing Cro-Mag shirts and he's friends with a lot of people that are friends with my brother. So it's different, my brother Mark. So it's difficult for me. That being said, I was always very objective about him being a dick because I know a lot of straight edge guys in their 40s. They're very much like Punk. And I've said this before, and this upsets people, but I've been around straight edge since 1988. This is just something I've checked, something I've noticed, right? So we heard about this video. Long story short, unless you've been living under a rock, Punk got into a physical altercation a couple years ago at a pay-per-view with the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega that led to his banning. And then they gave him his own show. And then all of this coalesced around Jack Perry, Jungle Boy, Luke Perry's son, an incident that they had that we had heard about that no one had ever seen. And then Punk does an Ariel Helwani video the weekend of WrestleMania talking about the event line for line. And people get very upset, Shah. And the reaction from Tony Khan, the owner of AEW, who had footage of this, they decided to make it an angle. Now, before we talk about the fucking angle, Shah, when you heard they were showing this footage, what was your expectations?
Shit, man. I thought it was going to be a lot more brutal than this. I mean, this was the most underwhelming fight I've ever seen in my fucking life. This was like, it's like a cat fight. Like, I don't even know what they were going for. This is like embarrassing to even put this up,
Slap, slap, slap.
And before we get into that, I didn't rub shoulders with Punk at all, but I did know Jungle Boy because he came through GCW.
Oh, I didn't know that. I probably should have asked.
Yeah, I mean, he got hired by GCW. That was the first company that he worked for, was GCW.
Interactions with him? Did you have interactions with him?
Yeah, definitely.
What's your opinion on him?
He's kind of a dickhead, I thought.
Okay.
To be honest with you.
Okay, we've never talked about this.
He was one of those guys that was like very full of himself. He was very cocky early on. So like I kind of see why they say he's kind of full of himself, because I experienced that vibe. He didn't do anything to me or anything, but in the GCW locker room, like most people were humble. It's a very small niche, like
that
crowd.
Doesn't seem like a place, Shah, where you could have an ego and get away with it.
Yeah, I don't associate that with anybody really up there.
Okay.
He was one of the main ones that I thought was immediately off the bat thinking he's above indie wrestling and just like, I don't know. So I mean, maybe it's because he's a son of a star.
Was his dad around? Did his dad come to the East Coast for his shows? Because he's following him around a lot. Okay.
Yeah, I think he did to one of the LA shows, but I never saw.
Yeah, he was at some shows. B-Show Brian, what was your Jungle Boy opinion there?
When he first came in, I thought he was like, okay, plucky baby face. They gave him the song. I can't remember the name of the artist.
The Jungle Boy song by Jungle Boy, who died
Tarzan
of AIDS.
Boy. Yeah,
Tarzan Boy. Yeah,
Tarzan Boy by Baltimore.
Yeah, Baltimore. Died of AIDS. The actual somebody, like one of the singers in that, died of AIDS a long time ago. He's been dead forever.
But
still
I
dead.
I thought he was okay for what he was. First coming out, green, baby face, just kind of learning the ropes. Seemed like he had some promise, although he was kind of small. And with the Tarzan Boy thing, people kind of gravitated toward that. And I thought, okay, for AEW, for what it is, for being new, fine, let's see what happens. And then he just never really progressed. And that was it. So I didn't know anything personally about him other than stories I'd heard online about him kind of being standoffish and a dick.
Yeah.
But as a performer, I thought when he first started out, I thought maybe he has some promise, but it's been.
Me too.
I mean, ever since.
I always thought the gimmick, I may have said this on Soup back in the day, but when they did the thing with the Jurassic Express, I always thought loosely that the idea was that the dinosaur fucks Jungle Boy and Jungle Boy fucks Marco Stunt. I always thought it was almost like one of those nesting dolls.
Centipede?
Yeah, like a human centipede. No, I'm serious. I always thought, and I think I said that on Soup once. I was like, does the dinosaur fuck Jungle Boy? Is that what this is? Is this like, and then he gets to fuck the little guy? Like, I was just wondering if they were going to have like little versions of each one, like human centipede in each other.
Like a fucking pecking order.
Yeah, like in the mouth.
Like
right in the mouth. Just right in the mouth. Yeah. So anyway, so we got to see, they built up this footage. Many people immediately said this was a bad idea. smart people were like, this is not going to help the company. It's not really going to make a difference there. And boy, were they right, B-Show. Now, we don't want to show the video because of copyright strikes. Shout out to Will T. Aaron Eccles is in there. I think David Byrne, whoever else joined in there. Thank you, guys. So they made an angle out of it with the Young Bucks, who are, really sort of going over a cliff here with a lot of people since this whole incident. They made it a gimmick that the EVPs are evil, but it's real. They are, because the company sided, I guess, with them and Jungle Boy and whoever else over Punk. But this is a very underwhelming, almost like statistically speaking, this is something that could happen, Shah, in any job, in any environment, or even amongst friends, and it would not be considered a big deal. Would you agree?
Well, especially in the wrestling setting. I mean, how many backstage fights have you heard of?
Oh my God. How many backstage fights have you heard of?
Yeah, I mean, that's like regular shit, right? So for them to make it look like Punk is like the most unprofessional and this has never been done before, it's like, dude, this is fucking wrestling. Like this.
Yeah. Remember, Tony Khan said he feared for his life on national television. He went out on live TV and said he feared for his life.
It's a bunch of roided up dudes with a lot of testosterone stuck in the same room.
Yeah.
It's bound to happen, man. I mean, I haven't watched AEW really ever. I think I caught their first episode, so I don't really know like what happened, what caused this. So I don't know if you guys can fill me in on the background. I don't know what caused this, but
yeah. So B-Show, you want to fill him in on this briefly?
Yeah. So
Punk was Punk. By the way, this is according to Punk, Shah. So
yes. So Punk was having issues with everything he said so far, as far as we've seen, corroborated by video evidence, has been accurate. So I'm going to assume it is. Punk was having issues with the Young Bucks. They were allegedly being kind of shitty and catty with him, not doing business, things like that. They tried to burst into his locker room. I think we talked about that one. Dog got kicked. They got knocked out by him and Ace Steel. And Punk got sent away, as John said, banned from Wednesday nights. They gave him the Saturday night show. That becomes a success. So everything's supposed to be split. They send Jungle Boy to work on Saturday, and he wants to do some stupid angle with a car window. And he cusses out Tony Schiavone, a doctor, all the staff. And then finally they come to Punk and say, hey, can you come talk some sense into him? Punk says he talks some sense into him, talks him down from it. Hey, if you break this window, it's a rent-a-car, fucks it up for the rest of us. So then they go to the show. And on this show,
this is Jungle in Wembley. Now fast forward, they're in the UK, shot like their biggest show of all time.
Still having issues. Punk doesn't get picked up at the airport, has to take the train. Just still petty shit going on. Young Bucks saying shit on TV and claiming tee-hee-hee. It's all fun. Jack Perry breaks a car windshield at Wembley, and after the match, this happens in Gorilla. Tony's sitting, I guess, to the right behind the monitor.
Well, he says something when he breaks the glass.
He said, "Real glass, cry me a river."
Real glass, cry me a river, with his Northern Cali Young Bucks Brian Alvarez Southern California accent. Cry me a river.
Cry me a river, dude.
Boner shrinkage voice. All these people have boner shrinker voices.
Yeah, no shit. How does anyone get wet listening to that shit? I don't know. Fucking. Anyway, so they go backstage after the match, right before Punk's title defense with Joe, and this happens. Punk confronts him. He kind of gets into Punk's, direct area. They say he chest bumped him. I just saw him kind of get in his face.
Yeah.
Jungle Boy kind of takes a step back and plays with his hair. Punk, that's when the fight happens. Punk shoves him, chokes him out, stuff like that.
Right. And during this is all according to Punk, Shah. During this, Punk goes over to him and goes, what's your fucking problem? Whatever. And they start arguing. He goes, why are you doing this indie shit? Blah, blah, blah. And then he says something to him like, I'm going to fuck you up or something like that. And then Jungle Boy said, do something about it. And then you see Punk lunge at him. Joe comes over, breaks it up. People in the back are like, oh, oh. Well, and then, Punk storms off, because he's got a match with Samoa Joe, which was probably maybe one of the best matches of the night, by the way, low key. And then he subsequently, Bryan Danielson and a bunch of people watch it. They had to pretend that they have an NDA and they fire Punk because Tony Khan feared for his life. Now, everybody's seen the video now, Shah. Now, did you see anything in that video where you think someone should fear for their life or their wife or even spilling a drink?
No, not at all. But I have a question for you guys. And this kind of shows how inexperienced the company as a whole is. Why would they go to CM Punk to try to school this guy if they know Punk is notorious for being a hothead. Like what made
Well,
them think
because at
that
that
was the
time, I
goal?
think I could explain that because at that time, Punk was hot shit. He was the number one guy in the company, and
Yeah,
he
but
had
it
just
doesn't
come
matter
back.
though. That doesn't change his
He's hot shit.
personality.
He's hot shit. I mean,
I
everybody like
guarantee you, if they went to Danny O'Brien or Brian, whatever the fuck he's called now, like that probably would have been a better
Brian
option. You
Danielson.
know, if they wanted somebody that's an OG in the game to kind of school this young kid, CM Punk would have been my last option. Because you know how
Well,
Punk feels about people in this
yeah,
scenario.
but prior to that, I don't know if Bisha, if you remember this, Danhausen, all these other people were talking about how great Punk is. Punk wore Danhausen's boots, and Punk, this is a very different CM Punk. He's friends with everybody in the back. You don't remember that, Bisha? They were all lining up to go to Punk before this
Yeah.
happened.
In fact, Danhausen, after this video aired last night, which I thought was kind of risky, posted some kind of funny meme in response to it.
Yeah,
I don't know if you guys saw that. I mean, Punk definitely has his people, and they set him up
yeah.
in his own little camp on Saturdays. And that show was
FTR.
far and away better than Wednesday night.
It was when it started. Shot, it was a great show. I mean, it was very good. It was. I
Yeah.
liked it. It was slowly becoming my favorite wrestling show.
By the way, that Danhausen dude, I actually saw him for the first time at spring break during Mania week. That guy sucks, dude. I don't know what the fuck people are seeing. That guy sucks.
He's like a quasi hardcore guy too. He's a little bit of a.
I don't give a shit. That guy
guy.
sucks, dude.
Yeah,
That
I don't know. I mean, he's not anybody that I like the gimmick because I think it was it was an interesting idea, but you know that dude's.
What is the
dude,
gimmick? He just like pours teeth into people's
I
mouths.
thought it was like
What the fuck is that?
Sven Gulli, like like Chiller Theater type thing. Like I don't know,
Uh,
but he's
Yeah,
another.
that's what I was saying.
Yeah, Sven
They should have
Gulli.
given
That's
him.
what it reminded me of.
They should have given him a group to kind of manage, almost like Bray Wyatt, and just do fake
Well, he
like
was hurt
cutaways.
too. This is what I'm saying. A lot
Yeah.
of these guys like FTR, they all were like they love Punk. There's Punk guys, like blah blah blah. A lot of some of the younger guys, were all. And then as soon as like he wasn't there, it was like he was terrible. So this bombed. This people that normally support the company were very visceral in their response that this was a terrible idea. It only drew a total 819,000. And then it subsequently like went, I think the numbers for the close for the main event, like it just kept going. Like this is how it starts. They get the strong lead in from fucking I was gonna say Third Rock from the Sun because I'm 100 years old. A
Big
strong
Bang
lead in
Theory.
from Big Bang Theory, right? Because 1 million people watch that in reruns plus easily. And then they go and then they peter out. But the thing I wanted to get your guys' opinion of, and then we have a bunch of movie stuff, is what happens now that we have seen the usual suspects, the Fightful people, the Alvarezes, the Meltzers, like just take a load right to the face because they refuse. Like Meltzer and Alvarez are now backpedaling about it, but they also gave conflicting information saying that the Bucks didn't want to do it, but then Sean Ross Sapp said, well, they did want to do it. And it's just like, you don't know who to believe anymore because none of these people have a track record of any kind of honesty when it comes to AEW. And sitting back, being somebody who took a lot of shit from these people and the people who follow these people for like 5 fucking years straight, if not more, it's a bit of Schadenfreude for me, because I'm like, yeah, we fucking told you. You know what I mean? Like we said this on Wrestling Soup when no one else said it. We paid a very heavy price for it at the time. I want to know what happens now. In your opinion, what happens now? Because it failed. People are upset about it. The people defending it will defend them if they were found with a gas can in a building burning, and it's like, well, we didn't start the fire. We didn't know that. So now that's it. It's now definitely left to the cult members. Shah, what happens now in your opinion? Does AEW rebound from this? Does it even affect them, or do they just keep plugging along like they were, while WWE is making record profits and getting billions of dollars as a corporation?
Well, I think everyone involved looks bad, including CM Punk. Because I mean, I don't know how you guys feel. Like Punk was kind of at fault. Like the guy didn't touch him. He's the one
you don't know what he said to him. I mean, we all know.
Doesn't matter though. If you're
every fight starts with somebody getting provoked by words,
right? But at the end of the day, if you've been in the business for 25 years, you should know better.
Yeah.
Right before the main event in Wembley, like, come on, man. You can.
Yeah, but his ego is massive. His ego.
That's what I mean, though. If you can't control your ego after 25 years of experience in this business, it doesn't say good things about you. At the same time, them releasing this fucking tape is a horrible look for them because it seems so petty. Like it's just like, dude,
it is petty.
You guys waited till after WrestleMania till they had their moment just to try to like babyface yourself, and it backfired. Now you're a fucking meme on the internet. it's a bad look for everyone, you know. And the Young Bucks, like, dude, those guys, oh man, I just said Danhausen sucks. Those guys are fucking atrocious at everything, man. Like, you know, like that gimmick was cool when like nobody knew them, and
on
I
the
was
indies,
watching them.
on the indies when it was
Yeah,
a
when
small
they were
gym
killing
show.
PWG and Ring of Honor, like back in it, but it got old. It's stale. If they're still doing the same shtick as fucking 15 years ago, like, come on, man. You know?
Shah, have you ever worked with them?
No, I almost did. I did they did a shoot interview and I did the cover for it and they shut it down. So
really?
Okay. Yeah, they shut it down. Yeah. They didn't like it.
Okay. But
so
Shah,
that kind of left a bad taste in my mouth, honestly.
What happens now? No impact on AEW. Everything stays static. Do you think their numbers drop? Do you think they make another video trying to make up for the previous video?
Yeah, I think their best bet is to just no sell this and keep it moving, man. Let the CM Punk thing go, dude. It's old. He's already signed with another company. The other company. I watched WrestleMania. I haven't watched WrestleMania in 3 years. I thoroughly enjoyed both nights for the most part. You know, like I was
surprised. I was surprised you told me that.
They're saying fuck left and right now. Like I was like, yo, what am I watching? Like what happened here? You know?
They waited for you to come back, Shah. That's what it was.
Dude, honestly, like they kind of sold me on it. If it was on Netflix right now, I'd probably start watching Raw. I just don't have cable.
It will be next year. So
yeah, I mean next year I might tune back in. But I'm gonna, you know, I know we're talking about Punk, but just real quick, I'm gonna credit 90% of that to The Rock. Because like
of course, yeah.
Dude, that guy is meant to be a wrestler. Please stop acting. That's not made for you. Like wrestling is where the fuck you need to be at. You know what I mean?
He's got
like
8 movies coming out in the next 3 years. So. he literally left to start the Mark Kerr movie, and then he's got to do the live action Moana movie.
And Roman Reigns stepped it up, dude. Like I haven't seen Roman wrestle in the whole time he's been champion, and I was like, yo, this guy is a heel is fucking money. Like this is exactly what he needs to be.
What did you think of Cody?
I'm not a Cody fan, dude. He's too like vanilla for me. Like he reminds me of a better version of John Cena, you know, like this like all-American hero.
So like a white John Cena
comic book. Yeah, it's just
he's white Cena.
Cody is white. What do you mean, John? He don't have that voice?
Yeah.
He's white Cena.
I mean, he's talented. I can't discredit the guy, man. I mean, the guy was doing nothing.
Anything bad about any of these guys because look, you like even me. I'm not a big Cody guy. I'm not a big Roman guy. But to sit here and say anything bad after this weekend seems very, I don't know, seems a little silly. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, like I can't say I'm a fan, but I can't discredit the guy for bringing himself to this stage. Like he did that on his own. You know, I remember when they let go of Cody, dude. He was doing PWG matches. You know, like
he did everything. He did the gambit. That's like how he became.
He put in the work. He knew like, yo, I gotta get myself over. Similar to what Matt Cardona is doing right now. You know what I mean? Like Zack Ryder was dog shit. This guy is huge on the indies now. You know what I mean? Soon enough, I'm telling you, he's gonna blow up, and WWE's gonna get him back, and he's gonna be a fucking star.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's there before the end of the year.
I've never worked with Cody. No.
Yeah,
I worked at StarCast and did their whole pamphlet, so I did some art in reference to him, but I mean not directly working with Cody. But I worked with Conrad during the whole
I remember
StarCast thing.
B-Show Brian, what happens now?
It's hard to tell because as Punk said during that interview, as long as Tony wants to bankroll this thing, and as long as TNT or TBS is willing to play ball, I don't know if anything's ever really going to happen. However, I am seeing a big sea change with people online lately, saying that this could be it, that they're finally done. It's too childish. It's a bunch of kids. I mean, honestly, that's why I posted that clip of fucking heavyweights last night, because that's what it is. It's like a giant summer camp with a bunch of kids that get to do whatever they want to do.
It's Larry David's Spite Store. It's not a company. It's not run like CM Punk said it, guys. I don't know if you saw a shot too. But CM Punk said, we're not in the same business. I'm in the business to sell tickets, make money, get people to show up, buy merchandise. They're not in that business. Like I'm in that business. I'm in the wrestling business. They're not in that business. B-Show, do you think next week huge dip in ratings?
I don't know if there's going to be a huge dip, but I think if this is their finger poke of doom moment, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Okay.
I think it exposes them. I think it exposes everything that you guys on Soup were saying for years, and a lot of people that weren't sucking the Kool-Aid down were saying online that were fucking like that's. One of the reasons I stopped watching wrestling for a while and I don't really interact as much as I used to on social media is because you post anything if it's negative about AEW and you have a bunch of spurgy dudes coming at you like who don't understand contextual language. They don't understand anything.
Sarcasm. Don't understand sarcasm.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Like, you'll post a joke. It's like, oh, Jungle Boy's hair is very luxurious. Well, that's because he uses Pert Plus for men. It's like, it's a fucking joke, dude. Like,
Yeah.
they don't
Oh
get
yeah.
it.
Yeah. People
And,
respond to
and,
jokes. Yeah.
and everything is super serious. It's like dealing with Sheldon from Big Bang Theory all the time, which
Yeah.
is ironic.
Very Asperger. Yeah. It's very
Yeah.
true.
And it's just, that's kind of why I got away with it from it, because it wasn't fun. And then on top of that, the people that were covering it that I would listen to, like I'd listen to JD and Doses. I would listen to Solomonster. I'm sure those are both great guys. But the way they were tongue punching that company for months,
And they were. And look, I know them personally. Yeah, they were. And they're not
and
anymore.
and all the other people that
Not
started
anymore.
podcasts, or
Yeah.
migrated away from, and thank God JD grew a set. I mean, I saw him 2 years ago that he got fucking pounced on for saying Jade Cargill wasn't ready. She still doesn't look like she's ready.
Yeah.
And
Ironically. Yeah.
his response to her saying that he's sitting in his basement was to film him doing 135 squats, saying she's such a fucking motivation
Well,
for him.
but
And
here's the
it's
funny
like,
thing about JD. JD had more people in his chat about AEW than they had in the arena. By he had 6,000 people in a chat, and they had 3,200 people in arena. So
and good for him, man.
So
I'm not gonna knock the hustle. The dude
kind of
has,
hard to argue with that. Listen, I just
yeah.
want to say this because I really want to get to these movie things, but um, the best thing about any of this for me is watching the people who have not objectively covered this company get their ass handed to them by people online. I've been waiting for this for a long time, and I hope it affects their bottom line. A lot of these people need to go back to get jobs because unless they either go work for AEW, stop pretending that you're a journalist, stop pretending that you didn't start watching wrestling in 2018, like just stop, because I started watching in like 82. Like, I'm sorry that I have only devoted an hour of this a week to my life, but to talk about. But I think a lot of these people, and for people to take their money, put it away from those people, and pull it away from any of the people that have not objectively covered this company for access journalism, because it's been going on too long. It's been going on forever, and a lot of people paid prices for this. So, please keep that in mind as these numbers dwindle and people now start going, wow, the show really is terrible. Wow, these really are bad people. Wow, these fake journalists and, are really just mentally ill people with no social skills that devoted all of their time and identity to a wrestling company so that they could get pictures at the party like this, and that's their life. That was never my life. That was never going to be my life. Good for you if you're the top guy in fake wrestling news. You're the skinniest kid at fat camp. This was not an aspiration I have ever had in my life. Zero. This is stuff I've done recreationally for fun with people I like, out of the success of my older brother. Period. That's it. That's all it is. I like talking with people about it. I'll continue to talk with people about it, but you need to start calling these people the usual suspects on the carpet. Pull your money away from them and stop talking about them, because this is what makes their peepees hard. And that's the only way to fucking impact these people.